In this video, you're going to learn how to share slides like this in your next video conference. Welcome to the stream. We're going to be using OBS Studio to share slides. And what you can do with OBS Studio and the virtual camera is that you can switch slides like this, or you can also switch layouts. For example, you might want to put them full screen, take them away completely, or bring them back. By the end of this stream, you will know how to recreate this exact view in your video conferencing setup. But let me show you the actual end result here before we get any further. I'm going to share my screen here and put my Zoom window here. As you can see, there's nothing coming through at the moment. But as soon as I go and activate my camera in Zoom, you can see that everything is coming through exactly the same way as it does in the virtual camera. And I have access to the same controls as I do. So this is the end result. By the end of this live stream, you'll be able to create this view in your Zoom or Teams or Google Meet or in Hangout, whichever program you want to use. So let's stop that screen sharing there really quickly, and let me tell you about the tools that we're going to be using. And the tool that I'm using is called OBS Studio. It is a free and open source video production studio, and you can find it at obsproject.com. I'm going to put that on the screen as well. I'm going to share my my OBS Studio website here with you. There we go. Let's add that to the stream. And the OBS Studio website looks like this. And you can see here that it is available for Windows, for Mac OS, and for Linux, completely free. I use Windows, so most of the commands that I'm going to be talking about are Windows related, but the software works in Mac and Linux as well. And you can read about all the different features here on the website. But for me, the most important part of OBS Studio, it has three main features. It is originally a live streaming platform. So, for example, I'm live streaming this right now to YouTube and to Facebook, and you can do that with OBS Studio. The second feature of OBS Studio is that you can use it to record video. So, especially if you want to record your own screen, OBS Studio is a really great tool for that. And thirdly, it has this virtual camera, and that's the feature that we're going to be using, the OBS Studio Virtual Camera. Hey, if you're excited for this training, smash the like button, and we're going to jump into this training and build this scene here, step by step, live and in real time. Welcome to everybody who's joining the live stream. Welcome to Harry, welcome to Jerry, and welcome to Leon's. Everybody excited about this stream. We are ready to go. We are ready to go. We got everybody participating. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share my OBS screen with you so that you see exactly what I'm doing. One moment. I'm going to do a little screen sharing, application window, and then I'm going to put on my OBS screen on the stream. It'll just take a moment. And boom, there we got our OBS Studio. And you can see that what you can see on the left side of the screen is actually the output from the OBS Virtual Camera that we're talking about. I'm going to make myself a little smaller here so you can see better the OBS Studio. So here we are. This is now outputting everything that I built here in the screen is outputted to the virtual camera. If I stop the virtual camera, I can click this button here, stop virtual camera on the bottom right. It will only show you the OBS logo. And as soon as I click start virtual camera, we're going to be back here working. So that's how it works. So the idea here is that first you build your scene in OBS Studio, and then you start your virtual camera, and then you select it as your camera in Zoom, in Teams, in Meet, or whatever it is that you're using. Hey, if you're excited, smash the like button, and I'm going to start with a brand new scene collection here. Because when you install OBS Studio, it's going to look like this. I'm going to go into Scene and click New. And by the way, here's a little quirk of my live streaming setup. When I click Menus, I understand that you're actually not going to be able to see the menus. In my testing, this is how it looks. So I'm going to just tell you what I'm clicking. So I'm going to click Scene Collection, and then I'm going to click New. And I'm going to name it. I'm only going to use one scene for this one, and I'm going to call it Demo. And that means that my camera is now gone because the virtual camera is still active, but I'm still here. No worries about me. So let's start by adding the camera to the to OBS Studio. On the left-hand side, we have a number of different scenes. We're only going to be using one scene today. In this second block here, we have different sources. And I'm going to start by adding my camera as a source. And for this, I'm going to click Add. And after that, on the invisible menu, I'm going to click on Video Capture Device. When you're using it, you're going to be able to see these menus, no problem. Video Capture Device. And I'm going to get a dialog box. I can just click OK there. I could also put a name on there, but it's not critical. And as soon as I click on Add Video Capture Source, it's going to give me a list of all my cameras here at the top left, at the top of the screen. My camera, I'm using the Canon EOS webcam utility for my Canon M50, so I'm just going to pick that as my camera source. And after that, just going to click OK. And that means that I have now brought in my camera into OBS, and it's working through the virtual camera, as you can see. It doesn't fill the screen, so I can actually just grab it here and make sure that it fills the whole screen. But remember, we wanted to create this view where the camera is a little bit to the right, and then we have the slides on the left. So all I have to do to start that, I can just grab this scene here and just drag it. So let's say that I want to have my face approximately there. So the image is cut off kind of at my shoulders. That's a pretty good start. The next step we're going to do is to add our slides. So let's go ahead and add the slides. The process is the same. I'm going to click on the plus button here in the second to leftmost column here in the sources section. And this time I'm going to choose image slideshow instead. So I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to choose image slideshow. Once again, just click OK there. And now it's going to ask me where are my slides located. I prepared a little demo slide deck for you, so I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here where it says image files, and I'm going to add that demo folder into OBS. I'm going to click Add Directory, and I'm going to quickly go down to my courses page here. Just one moment. There we go, OBS Studio and the demo folder, perfect. So I'm going to add the demo folder. As soon as I add the demo folder that contains these slides as image files, it's going to start appearing here at the top. But you may also notice that it's automatically switching these slides back and forth, and actually switching every 8 seconds because it's set to 800, set to 8,000 milliseconds here. To stop that switching, I have to go into this setting here, into slide mode, and select manual instead. And that means that I can now control those slides manually. Once again, I've added a source. It fills the whole screen just like it did in the past, but I want to have it on the left-hand side. Remember how we want to have it, a smaller version of it on the left-hand side. So I'm going to just resize it like that maybe, and then I can just grab it and put it there. So now you see that we're already looking pretty close. We're looking pretty close to our final design. And the last thing I want to add is, remember I had a little background here behind the slides, I had a little background image, and I'm going to add that as well. So I'm going to go back into sources, click plus, and this time I'm going to choose color source because it's just a colored background. So I'm going to click on color source. Once again, just click OK there. And now it's going to ask me to pick a color. And the color I'm going to use is this one here. So I'm just going to click that one. And this is initially going to fill the whole screen. And I think this is brown. I was talking to somebody about this color who said it was green. The name of this color is Martini Olive. Can you let me know in the chat which color do you think it is? And feel free to disagree with me. So Martini Olive, let me know which color it is. Put that in the chat. So I'm going to click OK here. I like everything else is going to fill up the whole screen. And now my task is to position it correctly. So firstly, we want to have it covering some of the camera. So I'm just going to move it like this so that it kind of covers the part of the scene that I wanted to cover. Let's say something like that, for example. But now you see also that it's above the slides. So I'm going to change the order here in the color sources box. And we have these arrows up and down that I can choose the order with. So I'm just going to click on that color source, and then I'm going to click down. And now it's above the camera, but behind the slides. So now we have built our first scene here in OBS. And we're going to fine tune it as we go along throughout this training. But we can also quickly switch back to, no, let's not do that yet, actually. So this is our scene. This is our scene. And as the virtual camera is active, it is being outputted into the Zoom. And if you haven't, if you're following this along, if you haven't activated your virtual camera, the button is here. Stop and start virtual camera, right there. So this is a pretty good first step for building our scene in OBS. And you can see how flexible this is. Let's talk about some of the specifics that we're looking at here. In the colors, in the image, in the sources list, I have my image slideshow. And if I want to cycle to the next slide, I just click here to go to the next slide with that one, right? And then when it goes to the end, it also cycles back. I actually prefer to bind these to keyboard commands instead, and we can talk a little bit more about that later on. But that's how you switch slides. But now that you kind of understand the basic building blocks, you can modify it in any way you want. For example, I might want to have this, let's say that I want to have this exactly in the middle of the screen. I can go into the Edit menu and click, you go to the Edit menu, click Transform, and I can click Center Vertically. And now it's going to be exactly in the middle. So when you start implementing OBS in your video conferencing setup, you're going to want to try all these different things, and there's tons of features. But with this setup, you already got yourself a pretty good slide setup. And as you start experimenting, you might want to have your setup might look something like this. I'm going to switch over to the one that I had initially, my flexible scenes setup. Just going to reset a little bit, and now we're going to get my full setup. And this is the one where I can switch slides. I can switch to the webcam only. I can also switch to the slides only, or bring back the 50-50. And this is obviously a more complicated setup than the initial one, but you can build this as well. But if you do just want to copy my setup here, I've actually made this available as a digital download, where you get all these different scenes that you see here, including a video that explains you exactly what to do, and these keyboard commands that we're going to talk to as well. I have a link to it in the description below this video, and I'm actually going to put that link on the screen as well. Just one moment as I switch that up. So you can go to markuspresents.com/OBS if you want to download my full scene collection setup, including the instruction video. And for the first 50 people to download that, it's only $7. So markuspresents.com/OBS. There's a link in the description below this video, and you can see the link on the screen as well. Okay, let's go back to OBS Studio and some other things that you can do. Because, and I'm going to have a look at the chat here in a little bit, but one of the things that you may be wondering about is, Markus, why are you using image slideshow instead of PowerPoint? And I'm actually going to tell you that. Now I'm going to show you why I'm using image slideshow. Just one moment. I'm going to have a quick peek at the chat here. Okay, we have some different chat messages coming in here highlighting what color it actually is. Green/olive. Okay, we have green/olive from the chat. Okay, cool. Keep those comments going. Okay, listen, I lost track. This is a live stream. It's very easy to lose track. So why am I not using PowerPoint? Listen, I'm going to start PowerPoint right now, and I'm going to show you why I'm not using PowerPoint. Listen, you can use PowerPoint, and actually I'm going to show you how to do it as well. So this scene here, and what you can see in OBS, is obviously the image slideshow. But I can easily hide that by clicking the little eye icon next to it. So let's hide the image slideshow, and I'm going to add a PowerPoint presentation here instead. The process is very similar. I'm going to click the plus button down here, and then I'm going to choose, instead of image slideshow, I'm going to choose window capture. I'm going to click plus, and then I'm going to do window capture. Then click OK. And as this pops up here, it actually gives me a list of all the different windows that are currently open on my machine. Here's the PowerPoint, and I'm going to click OK. So very similar to how we added the image slideshow. It's going to go full screen. I'm going to move it down a little bit, and then I'm going to do it like that. And let's say that I make a little edit. I'm going to call it OBS test with PowerPoint. So obviously this works, right? But it's not full screen. And the problem, and the reason number one why I don't use PowerPoint is that if I now click on the slideshow button in PowerPoint, it's going to fill up my whole screen. And I only have one screen in this particular setup. And I don't want it to fill up my whole screen because then I can't see what's going on. If I have a second screen, it would be easy to import that window capture into OBS just like I was doing here. But with a single screen setup, it's not so convenient. Not all hope is lost though, because I'm going to show you how to do it. In PowerPoint, there is a setting for the slideshow that you can use. If you go into the slideshow menu in PowerPoint, I'm just going to have a quick. If you go into the slideshow menu in PowerPoint, there is actually a setting here under Setup Slideshow. And in Setup Slideshow, the default choice is that the slides are presented by a speaker, which means full screen. But I'm going to choose the second option here, is that they are presented, they are browsed by an individual in a window. And when I select that, and now when I run the slideshow, it's actually not going to go completely full screen, but it gives me a window that I can easily bring into OBS. So you can see how this is pretty powerful. And you can see that it has some controls here at the bottom right that are actually shown on the screen. So if you have a one monitor setup, you can use this. You can also trim out these little extra bits here like that. So you can definitely do that. So it's not impossible to use PowerPoint. And this shows the flexibility of OBS Studio. You can bring in anything here, and I'm going to talk about some other examples as well. So that's how you do a PowerPoint in OBS Studio. But the second reason why I don't like PowerPoint is that, remember previously when I was browsing through the slides, I clicked those buttons left and right, and I mentioned that usually I like to bind those to keyboard commands as well. So let me show that. I'm going to bring back my slideshow, and I'm going to put it on top of the PowerPoint one. Let's see. Image slideshow, I'm going to put it on top there. So when I just click a control right and left arrow, I can control these slides because they are a native OBS Studio functionality. But in PowerPoint, I can't do that. If I want to go to the next slide, I have to actually activate PowerPoint. So the cool thing about doing this in OBS is that even if I'm in Zoom, for example, I can still use those keyboard commands that are being interpreted by OBS, even if I don't have OBS active. So the two reasons why I personally don't use PowerPoint in this setup is that it looks it's a little bit more difficult to do if you have a single monitor setup, and it doesn't have native support for the keys. But as you can see, you can do both. So I also mentioned that we have some flexibility in OBS, and I'll just tell you one particular use case. Let's say that we have this window capture here. What else could we capture? I'm going to click on properties here above the window capture, and then I'm going to choose, let's say that I'm going to choose my Chrome, for example. No, I'm not going to take, I'm going to take another Chrome. There we go. That's my, and now you can actually see my live streaming studio. Okay, you know what? I'm going to show you my live streaming studio. No worries at all. So now when I'm capturing a window, this is a way that I can bring in anything. So if I have something to show on the website, for example, let's say that I wanted to show you that OBS Studio website, I could do this in here. And this is the live streaming studio. This is actually how it looks on my side. I have all these different sources here going on. And the tool I'm using for this is called Melon. It's a super easy web-based live streaming app. And I have a link to that in the description as well if you want to try live streaming on YouTube and on Facebook. I'm actually using it right now to stream to both Facebook and YouTube. So this is just an example of other things that you could add to your OBS Studio via this window capture. So we talked about the image slideshow. We talked about PowerPoint. I could actually use this method to capture Google Slides. If I wanted to have Google Slides on my screen here, I could easily do that. So it's just the flexibility of OBS Studio. So I'm going to take away my window capture. I'm actually going to hide. So this is a good feature to know as well. Just click the eye icon to hide and unhide it. I mentioned that I was going to share some advanced tips here as well, and I have a tip that is specifically going to be useful if you are a Toastmaster. I hope that we have a lot of Toastmasters on the chat. Hey, if you are a Toastmaster, just type in TM in the chat right now, because I have a specific use case that's going to be super useful for Toastmasters. If we don't have a lot of Toastmasters on the chat, then I'm going to skip this step because it's not going to be that useful. But just type TM in the chat if you are a Toastmaster, and we're going to be able to show you something really cool. I'm going to prepare that a little bit in advance. Well, I quickly have a look at the chat. Okay, oh, cool. We have Harry Leon's our Toastmaster. Okay, perfect. So I think you're going to enjoy this because this is going to be a bit of a cool use case that maybe you haven't seen before. For this one, I'm going to change the slides that I'm using. And I'm currently using my full setup, right? So the way I change my slides, actually, I'm going to tell you this before we continue. So I have all these different scenes here. This scene, and this scene, they all refer back to the image slideshow scene. So if I want to change my slides, I don't have to change them in 3 scenes. I only have to change them in one place. That's exactly what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to go into my image slideshow, click on properties, and here's the list of slides that I have prepared. I'm going to take that demo one away, and then I'm going to add something else. I'm going to add another directory, because these are the slides that I use at my Toastmasters club. I'm going to select that folder. And now you're going to see that this is actually my welcome pack when somebody joins the club. So when somebody joins our online meeting, they're not going to see just a bunch of faces. They're going to see this. And they're also not going to see a slide that takes up the whole screen, because they only see this in my square. And I think that is a very nice way to welcome people. But that's not it, because after that, I also use this to guide them through an exercise that we do in our club called Thought of the Day. There's instructions there. But here's the cool thing. Well, I think it's cool. I mean, you can let me know in the chat if you think this is cool or not. Because I also use this as timing cards. So here we have green, amber, and red timing card as well. And you may argue this is not actually red, and I know it's mauve wood. This is actually golden lime, but work with me. So green, amber, and red. And what this allows me to do is, of course, to show these cards super flexibly. And the view that I prefer is actually this. So I prefer to do it like this, because, you know, in a typical, often when you have a virtual background as a timer, you have the person in the middle, and then the background is the timing. But I think this is a much better way to do it, because now I'm not the most important person here. I'm still attending the meeting. So this is why I prefer this setup. So I think it's super cool and super flexible what you can do with OBS. Let me know if that would be valuable to your club to have something like this, if that looks good to you. Because I want to add on to this actually one little power tip as well. One of the challenges, let's say that I'm the timer, right? And I stopped the last speaker. I stopped them at the amber time. And actually, I forgot to mention this. So for anybody who's not a Toastmaster, this is like the set of timing cards. So when you reach the minimum time, then I would show the green. When you reach the middle of your timing slot, I show the amber, and I show the red at the end. Should have mentioned that before. Anyway, so let's say that the last speaker stopped at amber, and then I go back to this view. Because here's the cool thing: like when I'm the timer, I don't want to have anything on the screen, right? But it's only when the first person actually reaches the green, it's only then that I actually want to bring them on. So what if I have forgotten, when I'm in this view, what if I have forgotten which card I had on there? Well, here's the solution. I'm going to show you a little power tip here with OBS. This is studio mode. And what studio mode allows me to do is that as you can see here on the screen, I have 2 versions of 2 screens. Here is the program view. This is what is being outputted into the virtual camera. This is where I prepare the preview side. This is where I prepare my materials. And that means in practice that I can actually go to, for example, this view here on the left-hand side. And let's say that I go to green, for example. The person is speaking, they haven't reached the minimum time yet, and then I can actually browse all of my slides here in this view, and then only when they reach the minimum time do I then transition, boom, into green. So studio mode allows you to have like a preparation area and a live area. And I think this is super powerful. This is a bit similar to what PowerPoint has with the presenter view, where you also see the up and coming slide. But I think this is more powerful because I can actually cycle through any slides here. You know, I can even load up a whole new set of slides without impacting my actual view. So this is a powerful tool in OBS Studio. And like I said, if you would like to get my package here of downloadable assets, just this exact scene collection, you can do so. You can get that at, I'm going to put that on the screen as well, the link at markuspresents.com/OBS if you want to do that. Special offer for the first 50 people to do so. And that actually, there's one thing that I forgot to mention about. That actually comes also with these animations. So these animations that you're seeing, they're actually not part of the standard OBS setup. So you know what? Since we're talking about it, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you what the standard is. I'm going to show you what the standard. This is how it would look in the standard with these hard cuts, right? For example, you could do that. You could do that. The other standard feature is also this fade. It looks pretty good. You know, you can go like this, and you can set the fade. But because I have installed a special plugin here called Move Transition, this actually makes it move like that. And this is a part of the standard or the package that I have in that downloadable link as well. So listen, this is basically where I wanted to get you. So when you go back and watch this, you can watch it on the replay. The replay is going to be available immediately. You can build this with these 3 blocks only. Like, it's super simple. And then you can also start building the rest of your setup. I'm going to give you one more tip here before we move over to some questions and answers. And that is that, no, I'm going to do that in a moment. So I'm going to give you one more part. Hey, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, you can do so. Just hit the big red subscribe button. I post a new video here every Thursday, and they're all about helping you engage better with your audience. And subscribing is completely free. Okay, the tip that I want to share with you is that today we've been talking a lot about the technical aspect of sharing slides, but there's also an important communication aspect. And in my opinion, what is so powerful about this setup is that I can easily switch between not having a slide and having a slide. Because this is the biggest problem that people are doing, is that they have, if they're going to use a slide, they have something shared all the time. And in Zoom, it's very difficult to stop the screen sharing because then you have to go back. But with this setup, I can actually stop the screen sharing just by pressing a couple of buttons, and then I can go back on there. And if you want to watch more advice on how to share slides in online meetings specifically, click or tap the screen right here for my full video about how to share slides, which also covers things like how do you prepare for mobile. So I'd be happy to take some questions from you guys. If you have any questions in the chat, just put them in the chat. And I'm going to see what I'm going to put. Let's see how I'm going to probably stop that screen sharing for a moment so I can be with you. There we go. This is the view that I want to go through. So if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer any question that you may have. Here's the thing with OBS though. OBS Studio is super flexible, super robust. It can be a bit intimidating. If you watch this on the replay, you will be able to follow those steps, but it can be a bit intimidating. So don't worry about it. To create this scene collection that I'm using, it took me a few months. So you know, it's not particularly easy to do so. So let's, I'm going to quickly have a chat. I'm going to bring up the chat here. Just one moment. I'm so excited about the trading, so I always forget about these actual things, you know, how to set up my chat and all of that. And I'm going to stop that screen share as well. Okay, let's have a look what we got. We got a lot of Toastmasters from everywhere. I'm so happy that you guys are joining us. So let's see. Well, let's see. Akatari, useful, but it's more advanced, right? Well, I'm not exactly sure what that question relates to. I'm actually going to put the question on the. Okay, so let's see. Here's the question. Useful, but this is more advanced, right? So, you know, OBS Studio is more advanced than using Zoom, for sure, but it also comes with some flexibility. So I'm not sure exactly what that it was in reference to. Let's go to the next chat here. Can we do this on a laptop? Yes, can you do this on, the question is, can you do this on a laptop? Absolutely, you can do this on the laptop. I'm doing this with a single monitor. Like most, listen, I'm a bit ghetto like that. Most live streamers, they have 2 or 3 monitors. I'm only doing this with one. I can do it with one monitor. You can definitely do it with a laptop as well. And one of the key feature, or one of the important things there would be to set up these keyboard commands, because especially if you're only using a trackpad or something, it may be difficult to click the right things. So setting up these keyboard commands is actually really, really important. And you can do so. I could just show you, actually. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how to do this. Let's go to share screen here. Boom. This is just going to take a moment to put this on the stream. There we go. So if you want to share, if you want to set up keyboard commands in OBS Studio, you go into settings here on the bottom right corner, and then there are these hotkeys. So I'm going to click hotkeys here. So you can see here, for example, that I have a Control-Shift-T to transition between the preview and the program view. So this is what I would recommend to do if you're going to be doing this on a laptop, because it can be a little bit difficult to do. So excellent question there. Let's see what else we have related to the preview. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So the question was related to the preview there. You could say that it's more advanced or less advanced. I agree. It does. I'm going to put that on screen. It certainly is a little bit more. It's one extra step. It's actually one extra step, because first you have to load the scene, and then you have to transition the scene. It is one extra step, but I think it's worth it, because then you have complete control of what is actually coming up, so you don't have to guess, especially when you're using slides. Up to you, but studio mode is something you can activate or deactivate with a click of a button here, so that's not a problem at all. Let's say that I'm going to go to that slide, for example. Okay, so let's take that away. How do you display the questions? Harry is asking, how do I display the questions? Okay, I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to show you. So this is just going to take a little bit of a. Let's see if I can. So I'm going to share my Chrome tab with you. I'm going to click share there. Let's see if this even works. Okay, so what you're seeing now, and I'm going to put this full screen for you. So what you're seeing right now is my live streaming setup. So on the left-hand side here, I have my different sources. I can see my camera and mic status over here. And then I have the chat from YouTube and Facebook are here on the right-hand side. So if I want to highlight Harry's question, all I have to do is click show on stream, right? And it pops up right there on the stream. This is not the best way to share a screen, because it's sharing a screen that's sharing a screen, sharing a screen. But that's how I do it. And I'm using Melon for doing this. And as I mentioned, there's a link to Melon in the description as well. There's a free version of it that you can try out. You can do your first streams with it, and there's a paid version as well. So check out Melon app link in the description. So that's how I do that. I'm going to switch that because I can't have my own screen on the screen as well. So that's how I display the chats. Other live streaming software have a similar functionality. Oh yeah, displaying the questions is cool. Yeah, I think it adds to the interactive nature of the live stream. It's a pretty powerful function. I like it. Okay, let's have a question here from Joel. Using OBS seems for screen sharing seems to be more flexible and faster than native screen sharing in Teams. So I can load up everything into studio mode and quickly toggle screen sharing instantly. That's exactly how it works. And if you want to do it with the PowerPoint way, then the PowerPoint controls are the normal. You can just build it as normal, as we talked about before. If you do it with the image slideshow, which is the one that I prefer, this is actually an important point that I should have mentioned before. You can convert a PowerPoint presentation into a series of images with one click. So in PowerPoint, you can actually go to File and Save As, and when you select the format, the Save as a type, you can just save them as PNG images. And if you have 100 slides, they're going to be 100 different PNG files in your folder. But the key here is that the order is going to be alphabetical. And that's actually, let's see if I can show that to you real quickly. I'm going to show this to you this is just going to take one moment to do this one. I'm going to show this. So I'm going to share back our OBS window here and put that on the stream. So if I now go into my image slideshow, there, and I go to properties for this one. And I'm going to go into my folder here that I looked at before. And let's say that I'm adding files. You can actually see that I have put these in alphabetical order. So the first block of slides always start with A, and then I have the next block start with B, and then we have the timing slides that start with C. So it always goes from A1 and then to B1, B2, and then C1, C2, C3. And if you order them like this, then they're going to appear in the right order. That's in my opinion, the easiest way to do it. There's another way to do it as well. You can add your individual slides in this area here in OBS. You can add them here manually as well. Then they will be in that order. But for me, I find it just ordering them alphabetically is actually super helpful. So let's have a look here. So I think that was the last question. No, maybe not. Struggling with the chat here. Struggling with the chat. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look at Lino's question here. Is image slideshow a part of OBS as it is another software? Which tool do you use to prepare the slide? Yes. So image slideshow is a built-in feature in. Okay, I forgot to take that off the screen. I'm gonna cancel that real quickly. Okay. So image slideshow is a built-in tool in OBS, and it's part of the normal images. It's part of the normal sources that you can add. So if you click the plus button on the sources, image slideshow is going to be one of the default ones. Probably not going to be able to see that on the stream. So it's a default function. That's why it also has these. Let's have a look here. That's why it also has these buttons here, right? You know, these next and then it also next and previous button and the stop button as well. So yeah, that is a default built-in function in OBS. And you also asked which software did I use to prepare the slides. The software I use is called Inkscape, and Inkscape is a free and open source vector graphics program. I do not recommend it. I love it, but it's not easy. It's not intuitive. It's not designed, you're not supposed to make slides with it. You're supposed to make logos with it. But it's kind of the graphics program that I know the best, so that's what I'm using. And I have all my colors there and all of that. So I use Inkscape for it. But like I said, you can also just create your slide in PowerPoint and then save them as image file, or use another software to do that as well. Okay. So I hope that was Lino's question taken care of. Let's see. Oh, okay, you remove the comment after displaying it. So yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. I'll try to remember that. Actually, I wonder if I can even, because I cannot move the position of it. I think I cannot. Yeah, sorry about that. That's a good point. As you can see, it's the first time I'm using this feature. But Melon is really good for that. So after displaying the comment, otherwise part of your, yeah, I know it's hidden. Sorry about that. Okay, so we have, okay. So Leon's is asking, can we insert a video into the slides? Absolutely, with one caveat: the audio is not going to come through. And maybe I could. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do it first. Because it's really easy, and I'm going to take the advice that I got there. I'm going to actually hide that comment. So the way you insert a video is like you would insert anything else. So you click the plus button here, and the video, to insert a video, the command that you have to click is something called VLC video source. This is an example of what I was talking about before. Like OBS is not intuitive. It is powerful, but it has like this more jargony thing. So VLC video source, you do that, and then you can add a video from there. And it will actually look very similar to how you add slides. So you would click the video there that you want to add. You can add a file, a directory, or you can even add a URL. So if you want to stream a video from online somewhere, you can add that as well. You know what? I didn't prepare this, but I'm going to take a chance to see if this actually works. Let's see if I can find a video, because Actually, you know what? Here's a video. This is actually this video right here. I'm just going to play it. Let's say I'm going to add it there. So this is now a video, and this video is actually that 17-minute video that is included in my scene collection pack. So if you buy that scene collection, you're going to find a video like this explaining exactly each step. And the cool thing about that video is that all the menus actually going to be shown correctly because I recorded it with OBS. So yeah, you can add a video like this just like you would add any other source. And then you have your video controls here as well. So you can remove it also. So that's how it works. But the audio does not come through. And let me illustrate that as well. Now we're going really off the deep end because I'm going to illustrate this with a different point. I'm going to put back my zoom window because I still have it here. So this is my zoom window that I'm going to share. And as you can see here, these are all the normal zoom controls. But when you select OBS Virtual Camera, it's only a camera, right? It's only available here. For the audio, you still have to use another microphone. So that's why the video will not come through with sound in OBS. It's only going to come through with the video. Make sense? Probably makes sense. Okay. So, but it shows the flexibility of OBS. You can add anything in there. The list of things that you can add, just kind of refresh my memory. You can add an audio input device, audio capture device. You can add a browser source. This is actually, most people, when they hear of OBS, it's used by people who live stream games. And they might have like alerts popping up. And you may have seen that on one of my previous live streams as well. So when somebody makes a donation, in my normal setup, there's a little alert that pops up. Harry has bought you a coffee. That is a browser source thing that you can add. I'm not using it in today's stream. You can add display capture if you want to just capture everything on your display. You can add a game capture, which will basically pick up any full screen application that you have. You can add images, image slideshow, media sources. You can add other scenes. You can add text. You can add basically anything you can think of. You can add in OBS Studio. So super powerful. And it actually does remind me of something. If you learn how to use this for your video conferencing, the step to you then also live streaming with it is very short. So if you're ever curious about live streaming, live streaming to Facebook or to LinkedIn, which is a pretty new feature in LinkedIn, if you learn how to use OBS, your live streams are going to look a lot cooler than most other people's, because most people's live streams just look like this, just a guy talking, right? But we can add these different features with OBS in the background, or even just using the OBS natively. That's a pretty cool thing. So you can do a lot with it. It went off on a tangent here. Let's see. When we're displaying Zoom comments with Melon, let's see. So what about? Let me think about this. When asking for chat responses, it would be cool to see them in the presenter's window. I haven't thought about it. And what's the best thing to do? Let's test it. This is let's test it. I'm going to go back into my Zoom meeting here, and I'm going to share it on the screen here. I bet it's not going to work, but hey, it could. I'm going to hide that comment here as well. So now I'm in Zoom, and I guess let's think this through. So of course I could show the chat here, and let's say that this is some test chat. Could I pull that up? I probably could. This is okay. We're going to do a little experiment here. This is not. I'm going to do a window capture, and then I'm going to capture that Zoom window. Let's see if this works. Okay, I'm going to capture that Zoom window. Okay, so now, but I'm not. Now I'm showing you the wrong thing, right? I'm actually. Yeah, no, it does work. It does work. Okay, I think I'm doing the right thing. So I'm going to capture that Zoom window, and then I have the chat here. So what I could do, probably just cut off that part. How about that? And then I could also just make it smaller. So the answer is, could you capture your Zoom comments? The answer is yes. Surprisingly, like I don't want if you want, I don't know if you want to do that. I mean, yes, this is pretty cool to be able to show them like that, but a Zoom comment thread is a little bit more chaotic, because I think you cannot highlight anything natively in Zoom like I can with Melon. So the answer is kind of. What do you think of that, Harry? Is that anything? But like the point is that with a window capture, you can capture anything that you can see, except for the menu clicks that we've been talking about today. Okay, so I'm going to have a quick look here at my stats. Okay, cool. Listen, if you have any more questions, please put them in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. I'm going to just put a little reminder there of the link to my scene collection, markuspresents.com/OBS, if you want to do that. If you want to get that for that special launch price, only $7. And I see that I still have my Zoom comments on the OBS thing. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to remove it right now. Or just hide it. There we go. So if you do have any questions, let me know in the chat. Otherwise, we're gonna wrap this up with just one last recommendation for you as well. In Zoom, how do you make OBS stream fill the screen? Okay. So the question is, how do you make your OBS fill the screen? Well, because the feed from OBS, I'm going to switch this over just a little bit. Let's see, now I'm lost here. Okay, so the idea here is that in Zoom, I'm going to, let's share Zoom, for example. Let's do this in and I'm going to disable the chat here. And so the idea here is that if I make a change here in OBS, let's say that I change from this webcam only view to this 50-50 view. Welcome to Basel International Space. Let's go to the green. Let's go to thought of the day. Okay. So as soon as I make that change in OBS, it's going to show up in Zoom, because I have activated the virtual camera in OBS, and then I have selected the virtual camera in Zoom as my input camera. So what I'm not using in Zoom is screen sharing. I'm not activating any kind of screen sharing in Zoom. I'm pushing through the OBS scenes as a virtual camera into Zoom as a camera source. And one of the advantages of doing that is that I don't even have to have permission to share my screen. Like, the host can have disabled screen sharing, but I can still do this because it's coming through as my video signal instead. So I hope that answers your question there, Jerry, if it makes sense. I realize now, maybe I should have like a little chart saying that, it's the OBS, what you create in OBS, that goes into the virtual camera, and then that goes into Zoom. So whatever you change here is going to be shown in Zoom as well. Okay, let's see, what else do we have here? Harry is saying, okay, let's see what Harry is saying. Reason that I give the audience attention, yes. Chat to the side, yes, no, it can certainly work to have the chat in there. And if you watch people who live stream computer games, they often have a live chat, not only, let's say they're doing this on Twitch, on YouTube, so they don't only have the chat as part of the native functionality in Twitch or YouTube, but they also have it as part of the video feed, similar to how I am displaying these chat messengers here. So it is certainly something that can help. And like I said, if you can capture it with a window capture and then just resize the window, you'll be good to go. You can capture whatever you want. Cool. Let's see. use OBS to screen share. Exactly. But just remember that it's not technically screen sharing. I'm actually, in Zoom, when you screen share, you are sharing something from your screen, right? But in OBS, it's technically not that. Rather, in OBS, I'm creating a scene or a number of scenes, and then I can switch between the scenes. So it doesn't even have to be anything on my screen. Like the camera source is not on my screen. This background color here is not part of my screen at all. So it's more that you're, oh, look at that. I forgot to turn off the video. Okay, I'm going to turn off the video. So it's not really that you're sharing a screen, you're just sharing a scene that you have collected. And that can have multiple different assets, multiple different inputs. One of them could be slides, but it could be something else as well. So that's just me being a little bit nitpicky there as well. So it's my impression that I have gotten through all of these comments here. I'm going to leave you with something as well. And if I missed you, can you just put it back in the chat again? Because I don't have all this real estate. So listen, guys, I want to thank you for joining the stream here today. And if you want to check out that video that I did about the communication side of sharing slides, there's a link to that in the description as well. And I'm going to put that on here. So if you want to watch that video, click or tap the screen right here. And for another video from my channel, click or tap the screen right here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.